Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. You are listening, getting your nerd wisdom on today. You are with your host, Zach, also known as Nerdy Wiseguy. With me is
Movie Master Jaye.
Today we're going to be discussing a few different things. I hope you all enjoy. Again, as always, please like, subscribe, and share this with your friends. Get other people to enjoy and get their nerd wisdom on as well. First topic of discussion. Got some feedback that some of you don't understand nerd. So, we're going to do a little session here. I'll call the 101s. So, Jay, our elderly member of the team.
Elderly? How about the elder member? How about that?
I like elderly better. We're going to start off just going through some quick topics of a subject that maybe one of us will pick. Seeing as that was the first one, pick my favorite topic of discussion.
I'm guessing that's comic books, right?
Well, it's not my favorite topic, but it's a topic we both can agree on now. So that's some DC Comics. So how this will work, Jay will ask me whatever the hell he wants to, and I will do my best to answer it. No internet, just simply off the top of my head. Okay. And you're going to have to trust me because, well, it's an audio podcast. There's no video, even though you're watching it on YouTube.
Too bad,
right
so
now.
sad.
But we will get this on iTunes. That's my end goal by episode 5.
All right. I
Go.
believe in you.
Shoot.
All right, so before we talked a lot about the DC universe and all that. We talked about how DC is putting out all these movies, Batman, Superman, and all that. But we talked one thing about the Suicide Squad. Give us some information about the Suicide Squad, because a lot of these people probably may not know who the Suicide Squad is. I didn't even know who the Suicide Squad was for a while until you presented me with the movie. So give me some information about the Suicide Squad.
So the Suicide Squad is a very interesting kind of breed. So it's kind of like DC Comics' Dirty Dozen. It's kind of like wouldn't even just say like bottom of the barrel. It's something that they came up with back in the day. When they were just trying to find something new. And basically, all these supervillains that are being stuck inside prison, they are essentially recruited by the U.S. military. Sometimes it's like, CIA. It kind of changes from, storyline to storyline, as they've revamped and kind of retconned the whole situation. Real quick, retcon, that's a comic book term most people do not know. Retcon usually what it happens when you reboot something.
Okay, thank you. I didn't know what that was. I was going to stop you there.
Yeah, retcon is basically when comic book industry, they reboot something. A lot of times you'll see that when you see a title book. A title book would be like Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman. You'll see that when they throw something, when they change the name of the title. Okay. So sometimes, for example, like Teen Titans, in this last New 52, they were Teen Titans. Now I think they're just called Titans. Okay. Or they're a different type of Titans. So, like Marvel, what they love to do, they love to just throw a descriptive word in there. So it's not just Spider-Man. He's the amazing Spider-Man. He's the spectacular Spider-Man. He's the fantastic Spider-Man. He's the amazing, fantastic, ultimate Spider-Man. They would throw whatever the hell they want in front of it, and they will call it a different book. Whole new thing. It's a whole new line of stories. It's just a way of selling comics. Okay. And it's a way that if, in the 60s, people thought differently. So when you go into the 70s, you got to kind of revamp the story. You got to kind of update it. Iron Man's a good example. Iron Man, when he first came out, he was hurt during Vietnam. He built his suit, got the whole chest piece in there. Yeah. Then they revamped it again. Then he was in China. Then he was in the Middle East. So it's kind of changed over time, kind of trying to kind of wrap around the current events.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the Iron Man cartoons were like he was in China or something.
Yeah, it was every time it's a little different. They kind of throw their own spin on it. It's the same thing with like Batman. Sometimes a random guy kills his parents. Sometimes it's Joe Chill. Sometimes he's 10. Sometimes he's 8. Sometimes he's 12. And those are like really little details, but everybody likes to change it. Like everyone likes to do I think it's sadder when he's 8 versus when he's 12 or something. I don't know.
Okay.
So anyway, Suicide Squad. So basically, the basic premise is supervillains do things for the government. If they do right, they get kind of like time off their sentence or overall pardons. Now, the reason why they call them the Suicide Squad, because these are missions that they won't that are just super crazy, like suicidal. Hence the name Suicide Squad.
So they necessarily may not live throughout this entire thing.
Exactly. There's a name for it they used to go by, which is called Task Force X. Mm-hmm. Same thing, but it's kind of one of those things where they call them the Suicide Squad. Reason why we bring this up is recently DC Comics, with all of this Marvel movie madness going on, they should use that. That's really good. Get that good, nice alliteration going there.
Or that Marvel movie madness.
Marvel movie madness.
Well, I could do it for you.
No.
You sure?
Yeah.
All right, I can do it in movie phone voice.
Do you want to do it? You saying like you want to do it?
No, I don't want to do it.
Just go ahead and do it.
I don't want to do it.
You've built people's expectations.
Marvel movie madness. There you go.
What's with the echo?
Hey, echo works, man. All right.
So they recently announced like Batman v Superman, Justice League, Green Lantern, Flash. One of the big surprising moments was they did throw on a Suicide Squad movie on there. We have Harley Quinn, is Margot Robbie. We have Captain Boomerang, is Jaye Courtney. For those of you who don't know who those people are, Margot Robbie, you probably best seen her in Wolf of Wall Street. Jaye Courtney, you're probably not going to recognize him. He's still kind of a low-end kind of guy. He's Australian, though, so that's why he's Captain Boomerang.
If you're paying attention to Jaye Courtney, he is in Divergent, and he's actually going to be in the new Terminator Genesis movie.
Yes, he's the one with the Malcolm Moore haircut in Divergent, and he's the naked guy in the Terminator trailer. So there you go.
He's Kyle Reese, man. Come on. Call him what he's supposed to be, man. That's his character, Kyle Reese.
Or he's naked.
I don't want to think about him
I just feel like a description of the man might just suit better.
I don't want to think about him naked.
Anyways, well, don't think about him naked, but just know that he's naked and you know that it's him. Okay, anyways, so Naked Man, he's Captain Boomerang. We have Will Smith. If you don't know who he is, just stop listening. I don't need you and listen.
We don't need to explain.
If you don't know who Will Smith is, then you got some problems. You need to first of all, you need to figure out what Nick and Night is. You must have been
living in a hole.
Seriously.
If you don't know who Will Smith is.
So Will Smith, he's Deadshot. And we have, there's somebody else in there. Oh, there's a model chick. Don't remember her name. Not looking up the internet though. So she's a character called Enchantress. So real kind of low end kind of character. I'm not really sure what they're going to do with her. Mm-hmm. We have,
she'll probably be the first one to be suicided.
No, she'll probably be a big character. No, the character they're going to suicide is a character named Rick Flag. He's the military member who kind of starts the Suicide Squad with Amanda Waller, who is played by Viola Davis. Every time I get it wrong. Anyways, Viola Davis. She's going to be Amanda Waller, who's kind of essentially like the team runner. She's not the leader, but she's the one that gives them the mission, tells them where to go and things like that. Then we have Rick Flag, who was Tom Hardy. He was Bane. He's not doing it anymore.
Right, so, I remember you mentioning that.
Instead of controversy is that he was either A, he had some scheduling conflicts with another movie he's doing, or B, that character is probably going to die and he's like, I want more screen time. So then that was going to go to Jake Gyllenhaal. Jake Gyllenhaal, if you don't know him, he wasn't recently in that Nightcrawler movie that came out where he's really creepy. He's also in Brokeback Mountain. He's one of the cowboys. So he also turned it down. So that role is currently not specified as who will play him. But there are some people they're looking at for that role. So I'm really interested about that kind of deal. And I feel like I'm missing someone.
Well, just to go back and explain who we were talking about, who's going to be playing Enchantress. Her name is Cara Delevingne. She hasn't been in really anything big.
She's a model.
Yeah, she's a model. She's been in a couple films, and she's got some upcoming films. Anna Karenina.
No one knows what that is.
That's a movie, man.
Nobody knows what it is.
It's a movie, dude.
Do you know what it is?
Yes, I know what Anna Karenina is.
Did you see it?
No, I did not see it.
Okay, so it don't matter.
But I know what it is.
Keep going. You're boring people.
But no, she's got some movies in the tank right now. But that's basically her biggest thing is Anna Karenina.
So in a nutshell, Suicide Squad is supervillains doing semi-good things for the government to get their sentence lowered, and they're bad people. So, Joker. That's what I forgot. The Joker. Joker is being played by Jared Leto. Jared Leto is a singer for 30 Seconds to Mars, a rock band. He's also been in a few different films. Best film that I can think of him on off the top of my head that's recognizable for a lot of people, he was the blonde-haired guy that gets his ass kicked in Fight Club.
He was also in Alexander. And no homo, just to make sure you guys know who he was in Alexander. He was Colin Farrell's, love interest on the guy side. He was Eupheistia. That's who he was, as Eupheistia. Just because I know that because I've watched the movie, okay? So leave me alone.
Yeah, but I like to reference movies that don't make me cringe on the sheer mention of them. Anyways. So there you go. There's some DC Comics news for you and some DC Comics 101. Stay tuned. We'll begin bringing all kinds of different 101s for you, from shoes to other things. Feel free to comment below if you have no idea what we're talking about, you would like some information on.
Or if you have topics that you want us to discuss, come on. Let us know.
Okay, so next topic of discussion I want to talk to you about.
All right.
Is going to be what is your go-to movie genre?
My go-to movie genre these days, and it's since I'm going to say it like the way that they put it into, if you're going to go look for the movie at Best Buy or wherever, the horror sci-fi drama. That's where I'm looking at right now. That's where I live.
What the hell is a horror movie sci-fi drama?
I'm sorry. Genre. Okay.
That one genre?
That horror sci-fi genre is that's my go-to.
Horror
right
sci-fi.
Yes.
So it's that is the genre. We're not talking like horror and sci-fi. We're horror genre sci-fi. Yeah. What is a horror sci-fi movie?
It's not a horror sci-fi movie. Listen, when you go to Best Buy or you go to anywhere now, they don't have horror by itself and sci-fi by itself. They have horror/sci-fi all in the same section.
Are we in Best Buy?
I'm just saying that's the
We're
movie
not in
I'm
Best
going
Buy.
for. Those are the movies. That's how I tell you, so everybody else can generalize.
So pick one, horror or sci-fi.
Horror, man.
Okay, so
a horror or sci-fi. It's the same thing right now.
You're making it confusing for other people. What horror movies? What horror movies would you recommend?
Well, if you're a fan of the horror genre right now, The Conjuring is a great one.
I heard that sucked.
No, contrary to popular belief, The Conjuring did not suck. It is one of the better horror movies that they've made in the last probably 5 years because everything else is that first-person camera angle that just really, really freaking sucks.
It's that first person.
Whatever it is, that handheld and found footage, whatever. Yeah. I can't stand it. The Paranormal Activities, they're all just the same thing over and over and over. They all suck. But The Conjuring is a good one. And its spinoff, Annabelle, it was a decent one. It was a little more demonic than I thought it was.
Okay. My biggest issue with the horror films, to me, like a horror film should be something where if I go home, I think that it might actually happen to me. And The Conjuring just has too many supernatural elements. It's just one of those things. A lot of these like horror movies, I don't believe because there's always going to be something. There's so many stupid tropes that are in horror movies. For example, probably the most grounded horror movie that most people know is Halloween. Big crazy guy, knife, mask, stabby.
I don't consider those horror movies, though.
What would you call them?
Those are more thriller slasher flicks. I don't consider those real horror. See, horror is something that's supposed to me, it is not believable. It is demonic. It is boring. Fantasy. It's not boring. Okay? It's boring to some, but it's not boring to me. But I like the Freddy Krueger. I like the Jason. I like this stuff like this. Yeah, those are horror films.
But those aren't believable.
You're talking about Halloween, but you're talking about a movie too. So yeah, but it's not. It doesn't have to be believable. It's supposed to be entertaining.
But here's the thing though. When it comes to horror films, it's like it should be drawing you in. That's the job of a movie. It's to immerse you. It's to suck you in and be like, holy crap, I'm in. You're in that world. When the main character is in a bad spot, you're in a bad spot. You feel that tension. You're like, oh my God, is he going to make it? Oh my God. And he makes it through. Now, some of us actually can watch a movie and not ruin it for everything. Like, I can actually watch a movie and turn my brain off. And not try to predict every goddamn thing like Nostradamus over here.
Yeah. Just because I figure out movies doesn't mean that I don't enjoy them, okay? The thing is, I want to be entertained. And that's what I'm looking to do. Is
see,
I want to be entertained. Now, true, some of my entertainment comes from actually not being able to figure out the movie.
You even gone on record saying, "Oh, well, you know, I didn't like the movie because it was too predictable."
Yes, I have, but those are like really bad movies.
You watch really bad movies in general.
Yeah, I'm from the 80s, okay?
Yeah, that's true. I miss some 80s tropes, man. I miss. They're like, I envision like, if I had to put my life in a movie, it would be 80s style. 80s had some of the best.
You want that pastel shirt, right? You want that bright pink shirt,
no. See,
looking like Don Johnson in Miami Vice, huh?
I don't need the era, the really bad era clothes. I'm talking like the style. So like, there are certain things in every era that, like, even music, movies, comics, everything, they all have very distinct vibes to them. Mm-hmm. For example, so like in the 80s, there's always this idea of like overcoming something that just seems impossible, and it was always the same way. So it starts out, you get introduced to all your characters, okay?
Okay.
Get introduced to all your characters. Maybe you're a sports guy. Maybe you're a smart kid.
So you just like that overcoming all the odds.
No. This is just the 80s movies. I am describing 50% of 80s movies. I'll describe the other 50%.
They're overcoming all the odds that are pitted against them.
Yeah. So you're this kid who might have like a specialized skill. Maybe you're like a down and out kind of guy. People don't really like you. Then they discover you got this specialty skill, and then you try to go up against the guy. And there's this big guy. There's always some asshole. He's either cocky, or he's a jerk, or he's just mean or evil.
The villain.
Yeah, not even just a villain.
Technically, he would be in movies. In movie speak, he's a villain.
He's an antagonist. Yes. So then he always beats you in the first act. He always beats you in the first act. He just embarrasses you and destroys you in the first act. Now there are some exceptions to the rule. Maybe if you're a sequel, maybe he beats one of your friends. Or maybe he does something ill to one of your friends and you make it a life mission. So Act 2 is literally you working up to beating that guy. And it is literally my favorite thing of 80s movies, the montage. I want everything in my life to be a montage.
Oh my god.
I want to get up in the morning and start in the montage and just have these epic moments of me brushing my teeth and getting ready. Then I'm going to get in my car and then there's just going to be epic camera angles of me driving to work. Then I'm going to get to work and then there's just epic camera angles and music of me doing work. Just hardcore keying at the keyboard.
With the Karate Kid music playing in the background. Talking about, you're the best. All right.
Exactly.
There you go.
And then Act 3 happens. And see, this is like one of the biggest ones. So Act 3 happens, and it's just back and forth. Oh my god, who's gonna do it? And every time, the last like 5 minutes prior to whoever's gonna win, you're out of breath, or you're sad, or something, and some old guy, or some type of mysterious figure comes out of nowhere and is like, you can do it, kid. You can do it. And then he finds some magical 80s spirit, comes out on top, and then corny ass music comes around, and then people you don't even know start hugging you, lifting you up, and celebrating and everything. And then freeze frame, credits.
Yeah, okay. See, yeah, you have
all the damn popular music of the 80s.
Yeah, you have described every single 80s movie that came out between the years of 1980 and 1989. Okay, yes, you have described that to a T. All right, i.e. Rocky, i.e. Rocky 2, i.e. Rocky 3, i.e. Rocky 4.
Now, see, 90s movies tropes, they learned we're not going to be that predictable. So what 90s movie did, 90s movie thought, we are going to do every weird thing we can think of. If it's even remotely, like, everything that 80s movies, people were like, that's a bad idea. We're going to put it on this side of the room. And they did Karate Kids, their Rockies, their 16 Candles, Ferris Bueller's.
Yeah,
and then they look over to the left.
The Great Outdoors.
Exactly.
Stuff
and
like
then the interns came in after, like the John Hughes and all those guys start making their movies. The interns look on the other side of the room and they go, oh, look at this. This is a movie about teenagers who kill themselves and then bring themselves back to life. That's a great movie idea. We're going to do that. they're gonna flatline.
Oh
They're gonna flatline. It's like they're flatliners. Movie right there. Movie stamp, print, movie poster done.
Why did you have to bring out like the most
90s
the most 90s movie ever with every single 90s hot character in it? Everybody that was hot in the 90s was in that movie. Like everybody. Julia Roberts, Dylan McDermott, Kiefer Sutherland. Like everybody that was only relevant in the 90s was in that movie.
And see, the thing about the 90s too is like,
I was like, oh my God.
Everybody had to be a witch or a warlock. There was like, what was it? I think it was The Prophecy. Never saw it. That was
The Prophecy. That was Christopher Walken.
The Craft.
The Craft. I actually own that one.
Oh god, there was just a bunch of stuff. Then there were like there was just so many weird things. Okay. Oh, Beverly Hills Cop. Was that an 80s movie?
It started in the 80s. It started in the 80s.
What came out in the 90s?
Beverly Hills Cop 3.
Boom! Perfect example. Beverly Hills Cop 3. Okay. So we're going to take a successful movie franchise. And we're going to be like, okay, what can we do to give this a spin? Okay, so what happened? So it's like Detroit cop. He went to Beverly Hills. And he did that twice. What can we do to make a third? What are we going to do? Oh, well, we can take him to Beverly Hills. Well, he's been to Beverly Hills. What can we do to spice it up? And some dude walks in with a Disneyland hat on. He goes, that's it. We're going to take him to Disneyland. And Disney's like, no, get out. And they're like, we're going to make him up our theme park. And there it is. Beverly Hills Cop 3 in a random-ass theme park. And then they thought, oh, since it's a theme park, let's make it for kids. PG-13.
Oh, my gosh.
Like, the weird, people, they grab the first idea dangling from the sky and they just grab it and go.
But there were some intriguing ones that gave you some thought.
Like what?
Basic. Actually, I think Basic was a 2000 movie. That was a 2000 movie.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah, you're right about the 90s stuff. I mean, yeah.
Oh, perfect idea. Here's another one. Terminator 2. Yeah. Terminator 2.
Terminator 2 Judgment
Perfect
Day.
idea. So we're going to take the bad guy from the first one, make him the good guy in the second one. But he was a bad guy in the first one. That don't make a lot of sense because he was the bad guy in the first one. How would he come back in the second one? Because he's a robot. They just manufacture him over and over again with the same face. And it will be about time travel. But we'll go down to a different era because time travel, you don't go to the same era twice because that makes too much sense. So we're not going to go to that same era.
Not to mention, you had the start of the Tarantino era during the 90s.
Well, that's a whole nother discussion. I
can't
can't bundle up Tarantino in the 90s flicks, but damn, that is a man who just stretches.
Oh, Jackie Brown, Pulp Fiction, Reservoir Dogs.
But see, that's one of those things where like he's someone that like looks at that crowd and he like looks for the diamond inside the clam's mouth. Like he threw a bunch of sand in it and he just sat on it and he simmered and he's like, oh, look, a pearl. I mean, like just some of the most crazy things.
Yeah.
I mean, okay, in an era where Arnold Schwarzenegger was a Batman villain.
Yeah.
That was painful. What
was painful was watching Val Kilmer try to play Bruce Wayne in Batman.
He wasn't the worst. It was a hell of a lot better.
He was a good scientist part of it, the thinking part of it, but otherwise, he sucked.
George Clooney was way worse.
I'm not saying George Clooney was good.
George Clooney walked in, he's like, I'm Batman.
I'm not saying George Clooney was good. The thing was, they did not allow George Clooney to even try to be a scientist.
Well, because he probably, it's like,
I don't think he could have
every time he walked into a room, you think he was announcing himself to a party or something like, hey guys, I'm Batman. Yeah.
Hey man, they had to make off
crazy things happen. Was Labyrinth in the 90s?
No, Labyrinth was the 80s.
Was it?
See, that was the Jim Henson era where we were talking about basically Labyrinth and the Dark Crystal. The Dark Crystal. That is Muppets. Okay, this is how you define Labyrinth and Dark Crystal. Labyrinth was Muppets on crack. Okay?
That's true.
The Dark Crystal, Muppets on acid. Okay. That's how you define that.
See, period. That's the thing, though, is like in the 80s, cartoons were so different than they were in the 90s.
Very much so.
And we're going to have to split this up into two things. So, like, TV, like, movie cartoons were pretty much non-existent. Like, those were pretty much always based off TV. Then cartoons started getting more popular, and then the 90s happened. And so everybody was like, okay, let's make cartoons on TV really interesting. So you got things like Doug, Rocko's Modern Life. We covered that in the last podcast. We covered that, yeah.
Rugrats, Our Real Monsters. You had the Batman the Animated Series. You had the Ninja Turtles, where it gained its Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles gained a lot of popularity in the 90s. What else? 90s cartoons. Tiny Toons.
The one thing I would love to, what was it? It was a cartoon, and there was like there were really like dark cartoons. Like there were people. Oh, that,
like The Head. What's The Head? That was on MTV, where this guy had an alien living in his head.
Well, everything that
you had Beavis and Butthead, you had Daria in the 90s, you had those guys.
There was like another one. Wasn't there like another one where like bunnies had rabies or something like that, and they like murdered one another?
I don't know about that one. that's a little sick right there, man.
I'm telling you, there were some.
But there was one, Duckman, that was supposed to be that was a 90s cartoon. That was a late night 90s cartoon. There was Afro Samurai was in the 90s.
The Adventures of the American Rabbit. Now that is a movie in itself that if you ever watched is the weirdest thing ever. Have you seen this?
Yeah.
This is so weird. So weird. It's just like this random rabbit just covered in an American flag.
Yeah,
like,
and he would run to get the American flag. He would run really fast, and all of a sudden he'd be an American rabbit. And
like there was this thing where there were, you could totally tell like he showed its time, because there was like this thing where like there were Russian mobsters as his villains. I mean, I think they made him carry the Soviet flag around the Statue of Liberty, the most unpatriotic thing you could think of, as a means of like villainous. And it was just weird. The 90s are like music in the 90s was really depressing too. Well, yeah, no. Music in the 80s was really depressing. Music in the 90s was really weird.
No, music in the 80s had your ups and your downs. You had your high guys and then you had your low people.
And that was it.
Okay, that was it.
Boy, but man, you could not listen to the radio because it brought you up and smacked you down over and over again.
But you got to remember, in the 90s too, that started the grunge era. That started that era, that depressing rock is what it was.
It was just.
I mean, if you ever listen to a Nirvana album, you may do a Kurt Cobain, really, because it was that depressing. You know, you listen to Team Spirit, you listen to Jeremy, you listen to, you listen to
Pearl Jam.
I mean, that was just some depressing rock.
What did you listen to? Because I know you didn't listen to them.
Oh, I listened to Neo Soul, baby. All right, I listen to Neo Soul. Neo Soul, which is your jazz mixed with a lot of R&B. Not to mention the Soul Sonic era. The Soul Sonic funk was your Tribe Called Quest, your Diggable Planets.
Okay, if you can't think of anything, don't start making stuff up.
Just because you were born in the 90s.
I was born in 88.
Yeah, you were 2 years old. But yeah, I was listening to the Soul Sonic stuff, man. The Roots, the Outkast. No, I was not listening to the Delphonics. That was in the 80s. Thank you very much. I grew up in a black household. Okay, the Delphonics were no, the Delphonics are actually from the 60s, man.
Oh, really?
Yes. The Delphonics was an R&B group, man.
Anytime I hear a song, regardless of when it's from, if I hear it in the 90s, I just assume it's a 90s song. Like, that was just... Like, I grew up in a household with a deaf mother. Music wasn't exactly something that was jamming on and on. It's like, I hear an interesting song, and I look at my mom, and I go, what band was that?
Yeah. But no, in the 90s, you did have that depressing rock. The Matchbox 20s, you had them.
You didn't get nearly as emo until, like, the 2000s. Like, when I was starting to hit high school, that got really emo. Yeah, that was some really hardcore stuff. So.
See, that's when we started going into the hip-hop era where it was just strange and it just didn't make sense anymore.
Yeah, it was weird.
You had Soulja Boy, Young Jock, all those people doing little dances, and it was just weird.
It was very weird.
That's when hip hop started to lose its way. Yeah. Unfortunately, coming up with terms like bling bling. Yeah, remember in the 2000s, it was a song called Bling Bling, and y'all know who sang that at first, and that's why I don't like that little gremlin to this day.
So, what did you want to talk about? I know you mentioned you had some stuff you want to talk about.
Yeah, I had some stuff, man. I mean, we talked about, we talked about the DC stuff. We talked about all that. I want to talk about some of these movies that have just been released. Like this week, I went out and bought Lucy. And I'm not going to give you guys any type of information because I don't want to spoil it for you. But go get the movie. It's actually deeper than what you actually believe the movie is about. It's actually a really good movie. Great color, great film. You know, you could actually do without some of the stuff in it. You know, but it's, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of some of your Boondock Saints. That's what it reminded me of. Not as, you know, as trying to make you laugh and stuff like that, but the way the action took place, the way the cuts in and out took place, the way it tried to reference things that were going on in the film with like other pictures, you know, giving you more symbolism when it comes to like an animalistic point of view of it. But I actually really enjoyed the movie.
Right.
Really good movie. Also, what came out this week, I was telling him about it. You know, I mentioned it earlier, was Annabelle. It's not a great horror movie. It's a, you know, just
not a very good horror movie.
Not a very good horror movie. It's just on a level. It's a horror movie. Okay, that's what you got to know about it. It's a horror movie, and it sucks. And it's actually based on a true story. So,
well, it's keyword based.
Yeah, it's based on a true story. So
very much based. So it's probably not very good.
Yeah. So that was what I want to talk about. Also, the reason I wanted to talk about this because I just brought a whole bunch of DVDs of some of the cartoons I used to watch in the 80s.
Of course you did.
Shut up.
What cartoons were these?
Silverhawks.
What the hell is a Silverhawk?
Silverhawks are
they like Thundercats?
Yes, they're similar to Thundercats.
So there's like cats that are made of thunder, and then there's hawks that are made of silver?
No.
I swear in the 80s that you just threw two words together and see if they worked.
But our actual cartoons had morals and lessons at the end of them. So
these are rain dogs.
And they taught you things.
What the hell did they teach you?
Well, they taught you to be friendly, they taught you to be kind, they taught you humility, and they actually try to promote diversity as well. So there you go.
Oh, did they?
Yes, they did.
All I ever saw when I watched Captain Planet was a 30-minute infomercial for environmentalists.
Yeah, I didn't watch Captain Planet. You did. And that was the 90s.
Am I the only one that thought it was a little messed up? They made the Indian kid
shut up, man.
I'm just saying, like,
in Captain Planet.
Well, I just want to. I want to be in the boardroom when decisions like that are made. Where when they're talking about characters, like, all right, so we're gonna have this character, and he's gonna be like white, he's gonna have red hair, and he's gonna have like the globe, and he's gonna have the red and white and everything. And like, okay, cool, but we're gonna have kids. They're gonna be part of like an Earth group. And we're like, okay, cool, but we need to be diverse. Someone in the back's like, we need to be very diverse. Okay, all right, you're right. So we need to cover all gamuts of the world, okay? This is the worst part, okay? So we're going to cover all gamuts of the world. So we're going to have an Asian kid in there, and we're going to have a black kid in there, and we're going to have... From Africa, yeah. Because
wait, so you got to make sure they come from the area. The Asian chick came from like China or something. Right. The black kid came from Africa.
There was a...
redheaded white boy was from America.
Yeah, the gingerest guy they could find.
You had a ginger.
You had
and
a
the blonde girl, she was from Sweden or something.
I think she was from England.
No, she was from like Sweden or Norway, something like that.
It might have been one of those. And then they're like, okay, what do we forget? I don't know.
We're missing the brown kid. That's what we're missing. We're missing the brown kid.
Brown kid. Okay.
So we're going to get a little small brown kid.
No. We're going to get a brown kid.
He wasn't in a wheelchair, though, man.
He was in a wheelchair.
I don't remember him being in a wheelchair.
Yes. I'm going to pull up a picture right now.
I don't remember him being in a wheelchair.
He was in a wheelchair.
I just remember his power was like the weakest one. It was hearts.
It was heart. Like, what the... Like, this is so funny, though. It was like...
Everybody else had something that could actually take place.
The Sweden chick, she would like...
She was air.
No, she was water.
No, the Asian chick was water.
Was she?
Yes.
Okay, anyway.
I remember her saying, water! I'm like, God, wow. That was like real. That was almost as bad as the Asian robot in Transformers 4. Okay.
This poor river was in a wheelchair.
I don't think he was in a wheelchair, man.
Well, why isn't he standing?
Because he's shorter than everybody else.
I don't think so.
He's shorter than everybody else, man. Yeah. He was shorter than everybody else.
Maybe,
that's why.
Yeah, maybe I was thinking of the Burger King kids. Which is still messed up. They throw him in the freaking wheelchair, though.
Oh, my gosh.
But yeah, that was just...
Yeah. Captain Planet.
Captain Planet was so good.
Captain Planet only had like 25 episodes.
Didn't Gaia, wasn't Gaia in there or something?
I don't know.
It was really weird. Anyways, to your point, something about Hawks or something.
Yeah, Silverhawks. Okay, so Silverhawks was a cartoon that actually tried to take the place of the Thundercats. What it was based in the future. It dealt with space. It didn't deal with just our planet. It dealt with a whole new universe. And what these people were is that there was an alien that escaped from prison. He escaped from prison. He's a pretty bad guy. And then they draft these humans to help save the rest of the universe. So the only way that they could actually get the humans to deep space where it needed to be saved was to coat their bodies in silver, coat parts of their bodies in silver. So they were a combination of human covered it plus mechanical. So it was like a cyborg thing.
Now I know why the 90s was so weird, because they grew up watching 80s cartoons.
So that was the Silverhawks, and they were basically a space police force, is what they were.
Space police force.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have something else. They call it something else too, called Green Lantern Corps.
Yeah, but there was only the Green Lantern Corps. There were like hundreds, thousands of them. There's 5 Silverhawks.
Sounds like a great police corps. Won't hold my breath when someone breaks into my spaceship. Call the Silverhawks. What's the number? SILVER. Why can't they just have numbers? Why do I gotta spell it out?
Anyway, thank you for the remarks from the Peanut Gallery.
I'm just saying. You ever wondered why one never had any letters? Did you ever notice that?
No.
Like one never. I don't think one ever had a letter. Like
you talking about on the phone?
Yeah, it was always like A, B, C on the 2.
Yeah.
But
I don't know. I don't know why one never had any numbers. I don't know. Anyway, you're going off on a tangent.
You're going off on a tangent.
So, but I bought
conversational podcast. I'm going as many tangents as I want.
And I also bought Cops. Cops was
man, Cops. That had a great theme song.
Cops. No, not that Cops.
Not the what you gonna do.
Not that Cops. Okay. I bought a cartoon called Cops. It was Central Organized Police Specialist. So
it couldn't just be Cops. They had to make it a fucking acronym.
Yes, they had to make it an acronym because you had the Cops television show.
Wasn't that in the 90s though?
No, it started out in the 80s and then it transitioned. It got more popular in the 90s.
Really?
Yeah, it started in late 80s.
I'm gonna question that fact.
Yeah, like late 80s. I think like 87. So, but yeah, I bought that. That was, Cops.
89.
Yeah.
You're close. You're fucking close.
Told you, late 80s. But, yeah, so I bought that. If you don't know what that is, that's just, future-based cops. They all have like little special adaptations to them. The black guy was bulletproof. Yeah, he was the token on top of that. He was the token cop.
50 Cent watched him and just wanted to be just like that man. I want to be that guy. I want to be just like that man where I'm a bulletproof and stuff.
They had all their little special twerks. You know, one guy was from the Southwest. He was good with a lasso and a quick draw.
Because anybody from the Southwest is.
I mean, like cowboy. I said, they all had their little special. There was one guy called Highway. He was good on a motorcycle. Excuse me.
That was another thing about the 80s. What? That was really, really popular. Everyone had a specialty.
Yes.
Everybody had a specialty. There was no such thing as diversity.
Yeah.
If you went into bulletproof training, you did not go into driving school. You only went into bulletproof training.
And so, just to, shorten that up, that's what Cops was like. But I want to know, from your era, what shows you would like to see re-released so you could actually watch and be nostalgic about.
The re-release?
Yes.
Like on Blu-ray or something like that?
Yes.
Oh, God. I mean, there's just so many obvious picks. I'm not
talking about the obvious ones. I want to talk about some of those obscure ones. Some of those ones that you're like, damn, if that was out, I want to see that again. I will buy that and I will watch it like it's nobody's business.
Oh, God. All right. Well, I'm gonna pull real hard, and I gotta remember the name of it too because it had a really, really long name. But it was a show with Matthew Lawrence. It was on for like a season, maybe not even that. Maybe it was like half a season, and it's really dorky. It was called the Superhuman Samurai Cyber Force.
I remember that show.
Yes, it was this show.
Yes.
Yeah. And
I remember that show.
I remember so little of it, so I'm going to try so hard to remember this, but this show was so cool to me. It had the best toys. I flipped my shit because it was like Power Rangers, but it wasn't. It was like this whole new world. It was so cool. But it was there were so many things about it that was just like, I'm like, I don't understand this, even as a child. Like,
wow.
So the plot premise that I can remember, I'm pulling this strictly off of my memory. The plot premise was there were like these 3 kids that were maybe in a band, maybe something like that, and like there's this like loner kid that drew stuff, and I guess like he came across, this is how you can tell this was like during the early ages of the internet. Like, this is what people thought the internet worked like. There was this rogue program virus that discovered this loner draw kid, and he then scans his pictures or whatever into technology that would then start hitting it would hit like technology as if it was real, it was like buildings. And so the kids that are in a band, I don't know how they get their powers, but they somehow discover the same ability to jump into the computer programs and exterminate the virus. And so there was like 3 guys. So there was this one main guy with this like crazy badass looking armor with like a shield and a sword and everything like that. And then the other one, this chick, I think she was like the bassist or something. She had like control of like this weird like vehicle with like drills on it and stuff like that. And then the other guy, he controlled, I think, like another piece of that dragon, that vehicle or something. But he would also control like a dragon. There were all kinds of weird things that you could do. Because like he had like a sword and then a shield, then he'd like stick it in, it turned into like a bigger sword or an axe. And there was just like so many things. But oh my god, the toys. Oh, the toys. I had so many of those toys. It was it was on for maybe a year. Like I'm looking up.
It says it was only on for one season.
For one season, this like consumed my life. I was obsessed with trying to find everything about this. Tim Curry was in that? I had no idea. That man is a really creepy individual.
Now, here's the funny thing. You say that you want to actually see that. It has been released.
See, this thing is like, I watched it, like, and see, this is what it is. I caught it in syndication. I didn't even catch it when it was brand new. I, caught it when it was in syndication on the WGN. It was Channel 18, okay, in the West. And it was just so crazy. It was so cool. That's the only thing I knew who Matt Lawrence was from was on this show.
Wow.
And it was so corny. It was like Power Rangers. It was like it was a bad American Power Rangers.
Wow.
But man, it was good.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I remember that show. That's the bad thing. I remember that show
that
too.
Was such I loved it. There was like this dragon thing that I was obsessed with. Like I loved playing with that toy. It was like this weird dragon thing. It was like a really poor man's version of the Green Dragon Zord. like if the Dragon Zord had his arms hacked off and his legs hacked off, and like they threw like the smallest fins of wings that they could, and let him keep his tail, and then just threw him as a lawn dart. That was what he was. He was just he had no arms. He was like this giant missile. I can't seem to find it. It was like this weird. I don't even remember what it was called. I think it was like Dragonor or something like that.
Oh my gosh! Wow, dude, that's a take back.
Look at this! Look at this! Look at doesn't it looks like a giant dragon penis or something?
Wow!
Like it was so weird, but it was like, oh my god! I was so obsessed with getting this.
Man.
It was such a badass thing to have. Like, I remember my brother and I would fight because I think I got the dragons and he got the regular pieces. And he was so jealous. He so wanted the dragon thing.
Yeah, see, I remember Tim Curry because he was one of the villains. He has that villainous voice.
He's just
he has that voice where you just know he's up to something because his voice sounds that way.
Yeah, he's just creepy.
Wow.
Yeah, so
you took it back with that one, man.
That one. Oh my gosh, his name was. Oh my god. His name. This is a totally
like a
90s
lawn dart, man.
He did.
It looked like a lawn dart,
like a dragon.
It was a dragon lawn dart, man.
It's like. Okay, so check it out. So his name was Kilocon.
Yes,
which stood for Kilometric Knowledge Base Animate Human Nullity. I don't even know what the hell that's supposed to mean.
It's supposed to be an acronym.
There was a character on there called Mrs. Cha-Cha Rimba Starkey, who was the cafeteria lunch lady, who was black. That's why her name is so weird. She was this random lady. She was black. She served food. She rode on a motorcycle. Apparently she had a thing for
oh my gosh,
Dennis Quaid. She was played by Diana Bellamy. I can't even remember the show.
Oh my gosh, dude! You took it back with that one. Why that one though? Why that?
I was a kid who just loved martial arts. Okay, she wasn't black. She was a creepy white. Maybe I was wrong. She had a weird name though. Just because she was a lunch lady then. Yeah. No, it was just like this show was so full of action and like I was always a kid that was never on the end. He was always behind on everything. Like I didn't know anything that was going on. So like kids would be talking about like movies that had come out and TV shows, and I was just like, I watched Power Rangers yesterday. Did anyone else watch Power? Okay, I'm gonna stand in the corner now and not have friends. It was like, always like I was the kid who was obsessed with the superheroes. I liked the martial art flicks, and like, and that era, it was all about like extreme sports and American Gladiator and the American Way, and it was just all of this stuff that I was not into. So like, I knew who Jackie Chan and Jet Li were years before they had ever like really had gotten any popularity in America. So they were kind of slowly growing up. And I saw that show and I was like, oh, that is so cool. Oh my God. And I was just like so obsessed with watching it over and over again. I would always miss it because, we had one TV in the house because that was how it was back in the day. And I never got to choose what I wanted because I was the youngest. My grandma, my grandpa, my brother, my mom, all of us were all there. So it was like by the time it got to what I wanted to watch, like everybody wanted to watch like sitcoms like Family Matters and Full House, and I wanted to watch a cybernetic robot that jumps in people's Walkmans and fights viruses with this cybernetic dragon penis.
Don't dog Family Matters, man.
I don't dog Family Matters, but it was just one of those things like Family Matters was good, but you gotta remember I was like 6 in 94. When Family Matters was really starting to hit its strides. Full House was hitting its strides. So I remember, like, those were shows that I definitely have a lot of respect for, but they weren't shows that were like, wow, it was so revolutionary. Like, for me, Fresh Prince, that was the show. Every day, it came home from school at 4 o'clock on the WB, syndicated it, and I watched every damn episode. I rewatched so many reruns of that show because I just loved it.
Damn, I'm so much older than you.
Of course you are.
Because I watched them when they premiered.
Oh,
because there was no YouTube. Yeah. There was no. See, this is one thing I'm really going to date myself right this. And if you talk shit about me, I don't like you right now. But
no, you suck.
All right, but no. See, you know how many shows that we have coming on television nowadays? You have a new show every single season.
So behind.
Right? You have a new show every single season. That didn't happen when I was younger.
Oh, really?
Okay. When the Fresh Prince came on, this was like this. Okay, you run the Fresh Prince from September all the way to March. Okay. And then if you didn't catch an episode, you had to wait for it to come back on during the summer for you to catch that episode. Okay, that's what we had to do to watch our catch up on shows. If you missed an episode of the Cosby Show, you didn't get to go online and see it. You couldn't say, "Oh man, did you?" It's either somebody had to tape it for you, and hopefully that they had a good video recorder, something didn't tape over it, or something like that. Yeah, VHS. I'm from that era, y'all.
Piracy number one.
All right. Yeah, I'm VHS. Hell, I had a VCR with the remote still connected to it. Okay.
Wait, what?
Yeah, the remote was still connected to the VCR.
They had remotes where it was just like a cord?
Yes, with the cord. It was still connected to the VCR.
Oh my God.
And the only thing that the remote had on it was stop, play, fast forward, and rewind. And the rewind never worked.
I remember my grandmother had like this giant like wooden TV. It was huge. It was enormous.
The floor models.
It was a floor. Yeah, it was a floor model. And I don't think it had a remote, but it was like so fancy. Like I thought it was like, oh my God, we must be like really rich to have one of these because they have like these really like fancy wooden designs, and like you open one, there's like a secret compartment. There's all these like electronic buttons, and I was like, wow. That broke. So we put the new TV right on top of it.
That's what you do. That console TV, they were called console TVs, right? That's what they were. When that thing broke, you put some type of thing, put a sheet or something over it, and you put the new TV right on top.
No, I discovered as soon as we put that new TV on top of it that we weren't very rich. Because we didn't even put the blanket on top. We just put a TV on top of another TV. And I'm just looking around like, shouldn't we cover this?
The only reason you covered it is because your grandmama or your mama was just like, oh, we did cover that up with something to make it look nice. But most people, if it was a guy's house, no, they ain't covering it up with nothing. We just gonna put that on top, and then you don't even buy a new TV. You just buy one that works better than that one, and you get the pliers and the vice grips, and you turn the channel.
No, I didn't have anything that bad. I do remember the switches. Where I had to do it, like I thought I was like freaking like learning how to turn on a nuclear missile or something with those things. I was like,
oh my gosh, man! Talk about throwback, man.
Moving the ears and everything like that. Yeah. I was a kid with zero patience too. So about 10 minutes into that, my show's already over. Fucking I went outside. I'm like, I'm gonna look at dirt melt or something.
Dirt melt.
I lived in Arizona. Everything was hot. You like look outside. And I remember when I was a kid. I would like walk out into the street and I'd be like, oh my God, it's melting. And my grandma was like, what are you talking about? And I was like, look at everything's like liquidy. And she's like, it's just really hot. I was like, well, it's like really hot then because it was like, those heat waves because I didn't know what it was. So for the longest time, I was like, oh man, it's like melting and stuff like that. Like,
bruh. Oh my God.
Like it was just so hot and so hot. And I remember as a kid, like it never bothered me. But then at some point, it like hit me like a rock. I come outdoors one day and it's like, I'm like, oh, it's hot. It's hot here.
Oh
why is it so hot all of a sudden? Because as a kid, I never got sunburned. That was like such a foreign concept to me. And then I became an adult where I didn't ever move and I like was stand in a single spot like for some odd stupid reason and then I get sunburned. But as a kid I'm always running around, I'm doing things, I'm sweating and everything like that, but it was never like hot or anything like that. So
yeah, see, I didn't run into that because I grew up in Michigan, and anybody knows in Michigan, you just pray for a sunny day by March. You just pray for some sun by March. And if you don't get sun by March, you just stuck and it's not going to be any real sun until April or May. You're just like, damn it, it's always gray outside.
See, I wish it was gray. When it rained, you'd think that God was like sending angels down. Because it was like, I would be so obsessed. I was like, oh my God, rain. Like running around. I'd be like, oh my God, rain. Now I'm just like, okay, there's some rain. Gotta go to work now and just stare at rain falling down. know. It was like the most miserable thing, because when it rains here now, it's like nobody knows how to drive, so everyone slows to a crawl and they just stare at it like it's a brand new thing again.
Hey, it's better than snow. That's all I can say.
You say that. I went out to Michigan and it snowed. It wasn't that bad.
See, you're lucky that nobody can actually see your face right now, because I know that's a lie.
It was a bit.
You couldn't feel your face when you walked outside.
It was a bit nippy. Yes.
Yeah.
A bit nippy.
Yeah. Then you couldn't get the work of. You couldn't handle the defroster. So.
That's because it was annoying. Because it was annoying. Because it was like you got too damn hot in the car, and then I couldn't turn it down.
Don't try to explain it, man. Don't try.
I was like driving it. I was driving an Igloo. It's ridiculous.
You can't try to explain that now, man. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. No. So.
That's about our time here today, folks. Again, thank you so much for getting your nerd wisdom on. Again, I am Zach, Nerdy Wiseguy.
I'm Movie Master Jay.
Feel free to follow me at Twitter. I'm at Wiseguy88212. Feel free to like, share, subscribe this with your friends. Get this out there. The more viewers, the better content we can provide. Once again, thanks for having it, and enjoy your nerdisms.